Get ready for an eargasm as you listen to unsolicited advice from that chick you know, and that chick you know would be me, India L. Trotter. Sit back, relax, and get ready for a full dose of real talk. Enjoy the podcast, and note, this podcast is for mature audiences only.
Hello, everyone. Yes. Hello. Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome and thanks for joining in and listening to my podcast, Unsolicited Advice from That Chick You Know. And that chick you know would be me, moi, India L. Trotter. Or in the French version, India L. Trottoir. Anywho, I'm in a silly mood. But this is really not going to be a silly podcast. This is going to be quite serious, if you will. You know, I try to stay out of the political arena because, my listeners are diverse and everyone's entitled to their own political beliefs, their own, moral compass, if you will, when it comes to politics. But as of recently, just sitting back and watching the circus, if you will, you can't help but notice the big elephant in the room. And that big elephant in the room with the fake tan and the comb over happens to be none other than the Republican Party's Donald Trump. And I feel like there's so much to be said on him that I am willing to forgo my own personal, restrictions, if you will, about talking about politics, just to talk about him and his antics. So, as I said before, this podcast, albeit that I was in a silly mood, is not going to be silly. It's going to be very serious because the future of our country depends upon it. So, folks, I need you to listen up. First and foremost, before we even really get into this podcast, can we just take one note that Donald Trump has never served in any political arena. He has never held any office. None. So can we just start there? I mean, this fool wasn't even class president at Fordham University or when he transferred to the Wharton School of Business here at the University of Pennsylvania in my city, Philadelphia. This man hasn't won any awards, didn't win any honors. He actually was floated so far under the radar that not only does the administration not remember him, but his classmates don't remember him. So from 1966 to 1968, when he was supposed to be a student at the University of Pennsylvania, Wharton's Business School, he was MIA, non-existent, and definitely not running for anyone's class president. And when you listen to the uneducated things that he spews, it makes it very easy to understand that this gentleman definitely played hooky. And while money can buy you an education, good people, please do not let his money buy this country. We are not, unlike his education, for sale.
Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
We have enough racial divide in our country today without bringing in a presidential candidate who is so quick to create divisiveness by saying such vile and disrespectful things about any people. But the Mexican people are my people. I have family members who are Mexican. And not for anything, Mexico is my favorite place to go. Like, I love me some Cancun. But I digress. The point I'm making here is that the Mexican citizens here in the United States are U.S. citizens because, like us, they have helped build this country. They are more than just the worker. They are our neighbors. They are our friends. They are our family members. They are U.S. citizens, and they are not these border hoppers that Donald Trump is trying to imply that all Mexican citizens are. They're not criminals. They're not all rapists. They're not who takes a category of people and puts them in this bucket and makes it all of them. Nobody does that but a racist. Did I mention that, and albeit it was back in the 70s, 1973, and then 3 years later, 1976. Yeah, that's 3 years later. I could add. But did I mention that Trump's company, Trump Management Corporation, was sued by the Justice Department not once but twice for alleged racial discrimination against black people? The basis of the suit is that Trump and his management company would not lease to black folks. Well, black folks and Latinos, people of color. They were told that either there were no apartments available or they were provided with different leasing and rental requirements. So his management company was sued, not once, but again twice, and they settled out of court. So it sounds like there was some merit to it. He did sue. I'm going to give him credit. He did sue the Justice Department for $100 million for defamation. But he didn't win that. Just something to think about. Okay, let's move on. Here's a tidbit. Donald Trump's clothing line, the Donald J. Trump line, is made in Mexico. So not only is he a racist, one might call him a hypocrite. How can we as a people essentially think that Donald Trump, or Chump, whichever one, how can we think that he can effectively continue the good business dynamics and relationships that we have with foreign countries, no less, when this man can't even keep his business partnerships with well-known companies? Macy's, NBC, Universal, Univision, and Serta have all severed ties, business ties, with Donald Trump based on things he's said, done, and probably will continue to say and do. So riddle me this. If you cannot keep a good standing business relationship with a department store, no less, then how the heck are you going to hold any type of discussions with Russia? Like, how does that work?
Reverend Al is a con man. You know, tells people I'm going to picket you if you don't give. I mean, this guy is a con man.
Did he just come for Reverend Al Sharpton? Oh, hell no. Okay, does anyone know who David Duke is? No? Nobody? Anybody? Anybody know who David Duke is? Well, let me tell you who David Duke is. David Duke is an American white nationalist, anti-Semitic, conspiracy theorist who just so happens to have been a politician and a former Grand Wizard of the KKK. And if you don't know what the KKK is, it's the Ku Klux Klan. And the KKK, or the Klan, is basically an extremist white supremacy, white nationalism, anti-immigration, right-wing extremist group. And they basically have forced their ideals on anyone who has opposed them through terroristic acts. And that goes back to cross burnings, hangings, riots, things of that nature. This is what this group is all about. So, anywho, David Duke used to be the grand wizard of said KKK. And guess who he endorsed? No, just guess. One guess. He endorsed none other than our Donald Trump. And the interesting aspect about the fact that he endorsed him is not that he endorsed him, because let's be clear. Anyone can endorse you. But the fact that Donald Trump has refused to condemn the white supremacists who are campaigning for him says a lot. And if you don't hear what it's saying, then you're deaf. Because this shit is loud and clear. Okay, so I mentioned foreign policy a little bit earlier when I was speaking about how Trump would be able to deal with Russia. And it's very interesting that Vladimir Putin, who is Russia's president, actually has praised Trump. They have like this little bromance going. And it's interesting because they both have the same beliefs when it comes to immigration and it comes to Muslims. But what Trump doesn't realize is that Vladimir Putin has a proven track record. And so one day, should Donald Trump become president, he may and foreseeably will say the wrong thing. And he has no idea what he's dealing with, or he's overlooking what he's dealing with, because if I recall, Vladimir Putin is the same man who, when speaking about ISIS, said that to forgive terrorists is up to God. To send them to him is up to me. This man is no game. And Donald Trump is not prepared to play in this arena. He is going to say some slick shit, and we all are going to die. Okay, so maybe we're not all going to die, but just know some shit is going to go down. I haven't even begun to talk about Donald Trump's disrespect to women. Now, the shit is funny, but it's not funny because he tweeted something out that said, if Hillary Clinton can't satisfy her husband, what makes her think she can satisfy America? Now, it's funny, but for real? Is that what we're doing, Donald Trump? Like, are you that threatened by women? I feel like his mother used to, like, abuse him as a child. Like, maybe she was demeaning to him. Maybe she didn't allow him to speak or whatever, because the way that he treats women is just so sexist. Like, he refers to them as bimbos. He talks about their looks. He talks about their weight. He just says a lot of mean things. And I'm like, was his mom short, fat, and ugly? I mean, like, what is it that makes him so venomous towards women? And yet, and still, you look at these rallies, and you got women standing around supporting this motherfucker. And he is never, ever, ever going to be concerned about any women's rights. So any rights that you thought you had, you can kiss those goodbye. Those will be out the window, because he only sees women as objects, and we will never, never, ever, ever be his equal. Would it be a shocker if I told you that Donald Trump was against nationwide marriage equality? Really? Would it be a shocker to you? And basically, for anyone who does not know what that means, it just means that he is against gay and lesbian marriage. Would you expect otherwise? So let's see. Donald Trump has managed to offend